All right, Listing Queens, we have our next awesome interview coming up, and I'm excited to introduce you to this guest, this VIP speaker. It is Elisa Murphy, and she is a top realtor with a top team in New Orleans, and she is also an amazing content creator. So hi, Elisa.
Hi, Jan.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, listen, ladies, Elisa is an innovative, free spirit. Elisa, just to give people a background that's very succinct, talk to us about what you did before real estate in where you were and what you did so they can get a good idea of your background.
Absolutely. So the most succinct way to say that is that my background is in media. So I've worked in advertising, publishing, content, and always in a strategic sales or marketing capacity. So that's my background, and that's my mission and my safe place. So that's what I take with me as my extra superpower into real estate.
Love it. Love it. And you did that, most of which was in Manhattan in New York City, correct?
Exactly. 12 years in Manhattan, and then about 6 outside of it, working in consultancy before and after.
Love it.
For myself.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. So you have a really cool name. Elisa, cool, is your maiden name. Murphy.
Yes.
So it worked out well. These ladies want to be listing queens. So I would like you to just share with us your signature methodology, which you call the COOL method. Could you share that with us?
Absolutely. So I love an acronym. So my method is the COOL method, COOL, and it begins with a conversation and it ends with living happily ever after. And in between, we outsmart and outperform other folks in real estate. And so that is the outsmart, and the outperform is sort of my pre and post contract methodology. And the great thing about it is that it's top line. I think too many people get in analysis paralysis when they're thinking, well, I got to do something for buyers, or I got to do something for sellers, or I got to do something for investors. No, methodology, the simpler, the better. What you're doing is sharing the journey and what people can expect when they choose to work with you.
It's perfectly said. A beautiful framework. Great, great, great. Okay. Now let's get to specifically being a listing queen. Talk to us about your decided approach to showing up online, because you get leads online. So can you just share with us what your thinking is, which is your framework for showing up, and then how that, presents itself and brings you the results?
Absolutely. So for any naysayers or frayed nerves out there about social media, I always like to share with other realtors, especially my team. There are 4 licensed agents on my team, that I made 6 figures off of complete strangers on the internet last year. Okay. And that was less than half of my business. The other were from former strangers referring me. So it's a great place to start a conversation. Okay. And what I have and am establishing in New Orleans is a real estate team that is a media company first, that also happens to be exceptional at selling real estate. So everything that we do is through that lens and that framework, which allows us to have a lot of unapologetic creativity and fun on social media. We aren't tethered to, I have to reformat everything a certain way. What's my strategy? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, what's my calendar look like? We are demonstrating how wonderful it is to live where we live and how much we enjoy what we do and the success that it gets for our clients. That's it. So on my stories, I always say, let your freak flag fly. So you'll see, my dog and a baby walking down the street. You'll see what I had for dinner. You'll see my husband hiding from the camera. But in everything that we do for our feed, that is with that intention. But it has to be fun with us. It has to be bold and original. And we're very passionate about what we live and what we do. And that has to shine through.
That's excellent. And so what I hear is unapologetic is I want everybody that's listening, write the word unapologetic and underline it, because you have to embrace who you are, and you have to do that in an unapologetic way. All right. And then the other thing that you said is fun and creativity, and then showcasing your market. So talk to us about some of the mechanisms. I know you've gotten listings in Facebook groups, and then you've gotten a message popped into, I don't know if it's Facebook or Instagram or both, where they say, I need you to list our house. So can you talk to us about some examples of what you, like how you think that arrived? Because what our listeners or our attendees might think is when they post and they don't get that, they did something wrong. But in actuality, it's because they haven't had the clarity and the constraint to implement consistently, because you can't expect tit for tat. So if you could talk to us about your strategy and your understanding that it is a layering. It's not like I get a listing with every post or something.
Right. So my advice for people that are in that frame of mind is don't think, just do. Just do it. Just wear Nike. If you're starting to think about, what am I going to say? I need to have bullets down. I need to have my week look like this. I'm going to do 50 things in 50 weeks. Stop. You're overcomplicating something. When people are selling their homes, they are intimidated and they don't want to be. They don't want to be intimidated. Some people run from it. They go, just take it away from me. Other people get in the weeds and they want to control it and they want to fight everything. And so there are two ways that I have found, and two big themes that anyone can use that really help people in that mindset, meaning your future clients. The first is everyone wants to know that they're not weird, that they belong. And so I put out content that talks about them. In New Orleans, we have these famous old homes, 150-year-old homes, brightly colored homes. So I put out a post, for example, it was very successful, that said, your home is built from magic and the bones of old pirate ships and held together with glitter. That really did well because everyone out there is saying, is this person going to see me for who I am? Are they going to see my home for what it is? I'm a special shiny unicorn. I want to work with a special shiny unicorn. And I don't care if you're working in cookie cutter beige suburbia. Look, I went to high school in San Antonio. I get it. They still want to be that unicorn, but their unicorn might live at Target instead of out at a parade. So everyone wants to belong and know that they're special, but that you're going to get them. So that's part one. And the other thing is when people are intimidated and they need to be calmed down, especially when they're fighting or feisty, they actually want to be led. They want to know that they're not working with a loser. They want to know that they're working with someone who's thinking ahead. So in that mindset, anything that you put out that's strategic and ties it back to real estate, this is my method. This is our approach. This is our process. That's going to get you a higher level of client with a higher price point that has a higher level of professionalism with two wins. Number one, it's going to be a bigger deal. Literally, you're going to make more money. Now, and this is how you talk to luxury people, okay? Number two, they are going to leave you be, because once that trust is established, they want to let you run with it. And those are huge wins for us. So those are the two things, making sure people feel calmed down like they belong so they don't want to flee, and making sure that people feel led by a confident leader so that they don't fight.
Exactly. And so thinking at a deeper level, when you share, like you sat back, and I want everybody to hear, she sat back and thought, here I am in New Orleans. What can I do? So, I mean, talking about how their homes are built with ships and glitter and glue and all that. Nobody thinks like that, because here we are over here thinking, where's my next client coming from? No. And the fact that you lead, ladies, if you want to lead and be your market's next listing queen, then innovate and do so unapologetically, as opposed to, let me see what other top producers are doing and do exactly what they're doing. Absolutely not. All right.
And mute all those. Don't follow them. It's good to follow people from another state because you might see what people are doing out there. But when I don't follow a lot of people, or I mute, sorry, y'all, I mute y'all locally, because I don't want to get into that comparative thinking. It isn't healthy for creation.
Right. It's not. It will actually stifle, which is why we need to be more in a creator than we are a consumer. Okay. So now I want your approach. I loved on our coaching call last week, and I just freaked out, love what you said about when I walk into a listing appointment and the approach that you take and the approach that you share with your teammates and what they do. So could you share with us?
Yeah. So this goes back to two things. One, the media background and that experience, but bringing it to life. So taking what you do on the screen and what those expectations are that you've crafted and that you've shared and making sure that it's realized in person. And then also taking the idea of being unapologetically you. So people love to watch HGTV, DIY. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Or, you're nodding. Everybody watching is probably nodding. But how many realtors can say that they actually provide that experience? So I shop, rent the runway. I find fun, funky clothes. I'm walking in, done up and feeling fabulous. And I'm bringing that from the front door through them showing me their home, sitting down, going over things. But I also have a follow-up process. So and I always bring the listing agreement with me. Can we work together? Absolutely. Would love to. I'm excited. Are you excited? Okay. Make an honest woman out of me. All it takes is paperwork. Let me go get started. What happens next? Well, the thing that happens next is I'm going to come back to your home and I take a bunch of pictures and I get a more in-depth for it. And I don't need it from them. I can walk around while they're doing their work from home or whatever, or they're out walking their dog. What I do is a follow-up plan. So I come back with a listing prep plan that says everything they need to do. It can be decluttering, it can be paint, whatever the vision is. People are in a mindset right now where they think they need to do some work, but they're probably thinking about the wrong work. And they're probably thinking about things that are way more expensive than they need to be. And they're probably worried that they don't have the time. So I give them this list, but I also say we can manage it for them. And we have the means to do that through partners, okay? But when I do come back, I don't type up an email list and send it to them. This is all the stuff you've got to do. Oh, if you read that, you would be like, oh my God, I'm never going to sell this thing. When am I going to get this done? Instead, I show up with that same energy and I tell them, are you ready for your Joanna Gaines experience or your Studio McGee, whoever it is that vibes with them. And they're like, yes. And I walk through their home. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Okay, we're not going to blow out any walls. But we are going to do these things. That style may sound gimmicky or cute, but what it does, it's unapologetically me. I love this stuff, is it makes them feel like I've now pulled them into the screen with me. They're special. They're on screen. They're having this experience and it's bringing it to life. And what it does is it not only keeps that fun momentum going where they're now excited to get moving and to sell, but it gives them a reason to brag about us to other people, because now we've taken this very intimidating thing like losing 20 pounds or running a marathon or planning a safari in Africa. And we've said, I've got that for you. And we're making it fun. You're now in the experience with me.
Yes, I love it. Okay, there's so much good there. I want to do things. Keeping your eye on them. Ladies, that's huge. That's another one because they don't have time, they don't have energy, and they don't have money. This seems astronomically huge, right? This huge undertaking. And so the experience that you, the moment they open the door, what I'm hearing is you give them an experience, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. For them is joy, right? The fun. And it's also, wow, this chick gets me and she's going to do this. And when you come back and keep the momentum going, it just allows them to take that back seat to you being the leader.
Right.
They're enjoying the container or the experience that they're able to enjoy with you. I love that. I love that. I want everyone to also notice that Elisa has a process defined. So sometimes when you leave a listing, we've all had these listings, and Elisa, I'm sure you'll agree, where they have a lot to do. Like most times we can minimize what they need to do because, to your point, they want to do things that they think they need to do, things they really don't need to do. They're not going to see a return on. But then there's things they don't even think about, like dog smell or cat urine smell or things like that.
They're just desensitized. Yeah.
Yes, because they're desensitized. And so with your clearly defined process, you are confident that you can get them from Island A, which is I want to sell my house so that I can ... over here to Island B, where they're collecting their proceeds and they're like, dang, that was pretty easy, right? So I applaud you for that. That is so amazing. All right. So Tell me how you, okay, so we know, and this has been a theme in this listing summit, that facts tell, stories sell. So
Yes.
you are very good in your marketing, both, which is you have a defined email that goes out regularly, and tell us how often that is. And then you have a defined way of social media, stories, posts, and such, where you share the experience that your clients get to enjoy, which includes testimonials, but also you tell great stories. Can you talk to us about that?
About story selling?
Storytelling, and how you take the experience you give a client, and then they actually reiterate that in testimonials, and then you turn that into a story or a blog. That's what makes people want you as their listing agent.
So I have a rule that always surprises people. I never show a house on my feed. Not that I never show inside a house or part of a house, but I never show just a house, like a picture of a house. I never have the word sold on my feed. I never have the words pending or just listed. That's Zillow. They don't need me for that. And by the way, they're all already there. So it's so important to me that I am demonstrating what makes me special and what makes the team special. But I also can't be out there and have every post be, we're so great, look at us, because that's selling and people don't like to be sold to. So my grandmother had this amazing saying when I was a kid. We moved all the time. My dad was a fighter pilot, and I would get sad. I don't have any friends. So I'm somewhere new. And she's very Southern Louisiana. And she would say, if you want to make friends, have fun in your own front yard, and they'll come over and want to play. So that's the goal. I'm having fun in my own front yard all the time on social media. Look at us out here doing that. Now, maybe you're not fun. Maybe you're really bright. Maybe you're more bookish. Do that. Be Belle with her nose in a book. Be that. But just be out there and be who you are and have fun in your own front yard playing whatever game you want to play, because the people who want to play with you that you would want to have over to your 6-year-old birthday party are going to become your clients. They're out there. I don't know if you've ever sold your own home. I haven't yet, but I've helped my parents. I'm going through this, and I've helped a lot of listings go through this. And you all have the same things. And who am I going to pick? I'm looking at 4 or 5 people. What's going to make me pick them? Is it numbers? Okay, you can't do much about that. That's facts. If I go to look more about them and would we get along, because that's crucial to me, I'll pay extra for that. It's added value that it's going to be fun and managed in a process. Now, how do I know what those people are like? And if I go to their feeds and it's a bunch of houses, I have no idea. None. So that's huge. And that manifests itself in a couple of ways that are really good. The first is I have a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, I don't know what a lot is, but the last 3 of the 4 listings that I currently have right now, I have $2 million in listings right now, came to me proactively through email, through a DM. 2 of them with the attitude of, hey, I hope you got time for me. Okay. That's what having fun in your own front yard does. And that's what setting boundaries in the way that you say things like, I have a process, I have a procedure. You can't ask someone to trust a process when you don't have one defined. Then they come to you and say, I'm trusting your process, Elisa, but I have this concern, or I'm curious about these things. That's all fine. But my client interaction ends up better, and therefore so does the experience, and so do the reviews and the referrals that follow. So have fun in your own front yard.
I love it. I have fun in your own front yard. That is such a simple concept that we can all get. And I love that you're doing this, because, in my coaching, I'm about psychology. And so like you create the results that you have in your brain, right? So likewise, if we can use our brain to take us back to when we were 6, 7 years old, playing in our front yard, looking like we're having fun, the neighbor next door across the street will want to come over. So ladies, get this. She's talking about being herself, and in so doing, she's attracting people that she's going to enjoy working with. She's attracting people that already admire and are curious about her process and the way that she facilitates selling a home. I want you to like really share about, do you have, because I know you're so good on social media, but you also do an email. How often do you send out your email?
Every week.
Every week. Okay. So how do you, because I want to get just a little bit of nitty gritty. So you send out a weekly email.
Yep.
And how do you get people in that list? How do you?
Okay. So first of all, start with any existing email addresses that you have. You can export those names, and legally anyone that you've been in correspondence with, you can email. So if you have a personal Gmail, you can download all of those contacts into whatever CRM that you're using. And by the way, if it's not a lot of contacts, you don't have to use a CRM. You can put them BCC on an email. It doesn't matter. So that's a really good place for it. The second place is, of course, any of your contacts from current or prior or other deals. That is important. And the third thing is you can buy lists, and they're relatively inexpensive. Their quality isn't great. You know, I don't think that you're going to get a lot of business off of that, but it can certainly bulk up your list. And over time, maybe it plays out. But I think the most important thing is not any one of those three things. It's providing something of value and asking the recipients to share, reminding people to share, to subscribe, to fill in the blank. So to get more subscribers in that way, if I have a platform, and I do, that's doing really well for me, like Instagram, I will, in my stories, link to content on my site. I will say, jump onto my site and subscribe. Our next newsletter is coming out this week. It's not a newsletter. It only has like 3 stories in it. I had a lengthier one, and I simplified it only because I didn't have time for it. But it made me think, okay, well, if I'm only sharing 2 or 3 things, what are those things of real value? So it's sort of field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. Doesn't work. But if you build something great, people will invite others to it.
I love that. I love that. I want people to understand that with everything that Elisa does, she is doing it with intention and purpose, as she's shared, and with a long-term view. So she doesn't need to get, like I said, tit for tat. I want people to understand like that you have built this business and this brand over time, and they have to have a long-term view. So, could you just share that what your biggest, if you were going to, like, you have a new person on your team, okay, new person on your team, what would be the top, 2 or 3 things that you would share with them, even if it's something you've already shared, that this, in your opinion, is what's going to attract sellers to you, what's going to attract homeowners to you? Like, what is when you look back to what your emails that you've sent, what did they say? And, or the posts that you put out, what do you think that were the most, like, dig deep into a home seller or a homeowner's heart who was thinking about selling that reached out to you? What do you think?
It's way simpler than you think. That's the aha moment for me. Along the lines of, show, don't tell, or stories sell, facts tell. This is another cute saying, but it's true. Attitude over aptitude. If you are enthusiastic and people can see that you genuinely are passionate about what you do, and that doesn't mean, oh my God, I'm a giant real estate nerd. That means I had a really fun time today doing this thing. That's attractive. That's attractive. And when you get in that mindset, and Jan, you're big on others focused, be curious and ask questions. Follow up with past clients that you want to replicate and say, hey, I want to clone you. What about interacting with me or my process was important to you? What would you share with others about me, or have you, that you enjoyed? Because that'll give you some inspiration to be able to go out there and say, this is what I'm about. This is what I value. I used to do very lengthy market reports because I have a difficult time keeping anything short. And I would try to keep it to 3 to 5 minutes, and it ended up being 10, 15, 20. And I got clients that way. And some of them were wonderful and some of them were not, because they were investor-minded numbers guys that wanted a smart blonde or something to work with them. I don't know. And we did well, but that's not where my heart is. But as I started putting out more stuff that wasn't look at me proving something, but look at me showing up and having a good time doing this thing that matters to me, and look what I'm doing that matters to my clients, and look how they're benefiting from it, that gets me the type of people that I want. And I know it seems very top level and like, give me a specific. So here's a specific. I said that I never put a house on my feed. It's Cool Murphy NOLA, okay? NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana. That's what we call it here. I don't ever put a sold house on my feed. Instead, and this is something I learned back from my media days, and I would pitch to major brands like Red Bull and Morgan Stanley, American Express. Instead of case studies, we do case stories. So instead of a sold post, I will put up a picture of the people, usually during their final walkthrough in front of their house is when I snag this picture. And I'll tell the story. And by the way, it isn't look what I did for them. It's look what they did. Then me, their fairy godmother, came in and bibbity bobbity booped the heck out of it. And we had to face this scary thing, but we tamed that dragon, and now everyone lives happily ever after. The story is there instead of the sold sign.
Yes.
The story is there instead of the sold sign.
I love it. Story over sold sign. Love it. And that comes from stepping back and thinking about them. Because the sold sign, to your point, you already said, is convincing energy. Let me convince. No.
That's selling. People don't like being sold to.
Right. But a story is like, welcome, come on in. It's almost like you're having an opening. Hey, come on in. Everybody's welcome. It's inclusive. It's inviting.
Gather around the campfire. And I'll say stuff like that because that's my style. It's story time, kids. They do really well, especially on Facebook, because you can type out, 100 words of the story and people read all of it and they share it. And it gets me really good contacts that way. So yeah.
Bravo. Elisa, we're out of time, unfortunately. Oh, wait, what were your last words there?
Oh, I said, use literal stories. You don't have to be a journalist. You don't have to be in media. You know, kids, your own nieces, nephews, how do you explain something to your mother on a good day? That's the voice people want to read, because the secret is anything that's overly polished will make you look worse than you want to, because people will compare you to, oh, look at her trying to be so whatever. Stuff that is real and authentic and is a little bit scary to hit submit because you're putting part of you out there, that's going to get you listings.
Yes. And so ladies, I hope this has been loud and clear that we have to stop being surface, both with what we put out there about our client experience. Okay. So put your focus on, what is my client experience? Do I even know what my client experience is? And then having my own signature methodology and process defined so that I can shout it from the mountaintops, that I would be remiss if I didn't do that, because in so doing, I'm going to invite all these awesome homeowners to get to experience selling with me, which is enjoyable by design. Okay. So Elisa, where can people find you? You just told us, but can you say that again?
Sure. So you can find me on Instagram, Cool Murphy NOLA. You can find me on Facebook. Just look up my name, Elisa Cool Murphy. I'll show up anywhere. Actually, if you Google Cool Murphy, you'll find all the things. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, Instagram, TikTok, which is newer for me, but I'm having fun with it and learning what resonates there. And then my website is coolmurphy.com.
All right. Well, thank you, Elisa. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jan.